Hi there, Brown Boxers. Ezra Firestone here with another video training for you. And this time we're talking about shopping cart abandonment. If you've watched the conversion module, if you've watched module 6, you understand the importance of shopping cart abandonment and how you can recover up to 30%, in my experience, of the sales that leave your shopping cart. Because one of the biggest problems in e-commerce is 8 out of 10 people bail on the shopping cart, right? They add an item to the cart, but for whatever reason, there's many reasons, they don't complete the order. So thanks again to Lenny Estrin for making the connection. Lenny also made the connection to Isaac, who talked to us about product listing ads, and he made a connection for me to RejoinHer. And we've got Mike on the line, and Mike is the co-founder and CEO of RejoinHer.com. RejoinHer works with over 150 retailers, helping them implement cart abandonment and remarketing campaigns. And in 2012, RejoinHer recovered over $4.5 million in revenue for their clients. So these guys really understand shopping cart abandonment and how to set up shopping cart abandonment funnels. And really, they've solved this problem of people abandoning shopping carts in e-commerce. So I just want to say a heartfelt thank you to Mike for taking the time to spend a little time with me and the community today and share what you've discovered and what your platform does.
Cool. Well, I'm very excited to be here, and also shout out to Lenny of Shades Emporium for making the connection. I'm really excited to be here. So the title of today's presentation, as you can see, we're going to be talking about shopping cart abandonment, but we're going to try and go deep into the psychology, what causes consumers to abandon when they're shopping on your site, and we're also going to get into some strategies and some specific actionable tactics as to how to win back some of those sales that are lost to abandonment, specifically using remarketing email, which is what RejoinHer specializes in. So this is me. If you have any questions at all, either while you're watching this presentation or afterwards, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @MikeArsenault, or you can email me directly. It's mike@rejoiner.com. So if you have any questions at all, I love talking about this stuff, so please feel free to reach out. And this has already been said, RejoinHer works with over 150 retailers to help them implement cart abandonment email campaigns. So what that means is we help retailers capture the intent behind abandoned transactions, and we help them craft highly targeted, personalized email campaigns that are designed to win back those lost sales. We've been pretty successful. So as Ezra mentioned, there are a bunch of numbers out there, a bunch of metrics that e-commerce experts use to quantify the average cart abandonment rate on your website. And there's a bunch of different figures out there, but one that I really like to use is put out there by an organization called the Baymard Institute. And these guys are a research firm that focuses on e-commerce. And over the last 6 years, they've pulled together, I think at this point, it's 25 studies on the e-commerce abandonment rate. And they found that the average cart abandonment rate was 67.45% on average across all of the e-commerce sites that they've studied. So 7 out of 10 visitors to your site who cart an item, start the checkout process, will abandon it before they finish the order. So this is a very frustrating fact for a lot of retailers. I'm sure you feel this too. Well, let's start by defining what cart abandonment actually means for the sake of this discussion today, because there's a lot of different definitions. Some people say an abandoned cart is when someone looks at a product page or when they add an item to cart. But we'd actually like to use a more specific definition in that when a potential customer who has visited your website, carted a specific item, but also started the checkout process, that's a crucial point and a crucial part of the definition because they've exhibited a very high level of intent by actually starting the checkout process, but then they leave the site, obviously, before completing the transaction. So unfortunately, I've got more bad news. So in addition to that 67% abandonment rate slide that I showed earlier, this is using the same data set from Baymard. If you take all of the studies that they've done over time from 2006 until 2012, and you average them out year to year, the average cart abandonment rate is going up year over year, and it will continue to do so. We've got a couple of different theories as to why this is happening, which we'll get into in a moment, but we think that this trend will continue as people shop on more devices. And specifically, we believe that this rate is going up because those devices aren't optimized for great shopping experiences, specifically on mobile. So the other sad fact is that with the cart abandonment rate going up, with the cart abandonment rate what it is today, we find that most of the retailers that we come into contact with, A, aren't measuring that it's happening. They don't know what the cart abandonment rate is on their website today. And because of this, because they're not measuring it, right, you can't fix anything that you're not measuring, right? They're also not engaging with cart abandoners in any way. So you have all of this traffic that's coming to the site, carting items, starting the checkout process, bailing out for, like Ezra said, any number of reasons. And they're not doing anything to follow up, to either find out where the friction points are in their checkout process, to find out why people aren't abandoned, to find out why people are abandoning. And they're not doing anything to try to win back those lost sales, so potentially losing a lot of revenue. And the question that we get from people a lot is, where do I start? How do I start measuring this? And we like to start the conversation using a tool that everyone is familiar with, and that tool is Google Analytics. So what I want to talk about is the importance of measuring your conversion funnel using analytics as the first step to try to understand how much shopping cart abandonment is happening on your site now. And the two central ideas in setting up a funnel, the first one is setting up a goal inside of your account. So in this case, the goal is going to be completing a transaction. And the second idea is going to be setting up a funnel being the path at which a customer takes to reach that goal. And when you set up a funnel inside of your account, you'll be able to access a report that looks much like this. So you'll be able to see from top to bottom how many people make it to the cart page, how many people click through into the checkout page, and then ultimately how many people complete the checkout page and convert. And you can see in this example, from the checkout page to the purchase to the confirmation page, we can see that this site has almost a 63% abandonment rate. They're doing pretty well. So if you're a retailer and you're listening to this presentation and you don't have this set up in your Google Analytics account, please reach out. Please email me, because we're happy to help you get this set up for your site. This is a hugely important report that you need to be running on your site. So once we've got that in place, now we're measuring cart abandonment.
Can I just say something about that?
Some of the reasons
Can I just say
why
something?
people abandon.
Mike, I just want
Sure.
to chime in and second how important it is to be tracking funnels in your e-commerce store. The one thing that we want to be looking at is how people. I mean, we want to be looking at a lot of things, but as we've discussed many times, one of the main things that you want to be tracking is how are people flowing through your store. How many people are going from section page to product page? How many people are going from product page to shopping cart, from shopping cart to checkout and billing? Like it is a fundamental piece of data that you need in order to do any real split tests.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, I would imagine most people who are listening to this call have that set up already. But if you don't, it's crucial. It's absolutely crucial. So now that we understand sort of the first step in measuring how often cart abandonment is happening and understanding how people are moving through your conversion process, I want to talk about some of the reasons why people abandon and some of the psychology that drives it. So this is a study that was done last year by eMarketer, and this is the top 5 reasons that they found in a sample set that they did last year. And it's interesting because what they found was, if we look at the top 2 reasons here, I was not ready to purchase, but wanted to get an idea of the total cost of shipping, is number 1. And the second reason is I was not ready to purchase, but wanted to save the cart for later. So these are people who've come to the site, and really they're just doing some exploratory kind of tire kicking, right? They might put items in the cart, they might make it to the checkout page. They're trying to get a feel, and they're probably doing a fair amount of comparison shopping. Now, we believe that these two reasons, this is actually just natural human behavior. There's no amount of conversion rate optimization, there's no amount of A/B split testing that can reduce this natural human behavior to just explore a purchase before they make it. The fact of the matter is that 99% of the people that come to your site for the first time each day aren't going to make a purchase. Now, the next three reasons are interesting. Shipping costs made the total purchase cost more than expected. Number 4, my order value wasn't large enough to qualify for free shipping. And number 5, shipping and handling costs were listed too late in the process. Reasons 3, 4, and 5 are all shipping related. So I want to get into that next. And then we'll talk about the folks who are just browsing after that. So this is some more data from ComScore, courtesy of conversionxl.com. ConversionXL is a great conversion rate optimization blog if you're looking for more content. This is where I got this slide. And I want to kind of harp on the importance of having some kind of free shipping offer for a second here. This ComScore study that was done in late 2011 found that 61% of consumers are at least somewhat likely to cancel an entire purchase if free shipping is not offered. And I want to echo that statement because the number one reason that we see customers abandon transactions in terms of the campaigns that we're building for clients at RejoinHer is centralized on free shipping and shipping offers. So we find that our most effective campaigns offer some kind of discount, some kind of coupon, some kind of offer around shipping. For whatever reason, this is a huge abandonment point for a lot of consumers, and this data backs it up. And we know that, with Amazon offering free shipping all the time to Prime members, and larger retailers are now offering free shipping all the time, no minimum order, that for smaller retailers, that's often not possible from purely a business standpoint. So there's different approaches that you can take to offer some kind of offer on shipping, but not necessarily offer it free all the time. So one approach, of course, is all free all the time. Larger retailers do this all the time. Another approach is to offer free shipping days. Could be around the holidays, free shipping week in November. Last year showed a 16% increase in overall retail sales just during free shipping week. So you don't need to offer free shipping all the time. If you have a brick and mortar location, free ship to store is another tactic that you can use. Members only, of course, Amazon Prime doing this really well. And what we see a lot of retailers doing, J.Crew does this, is a minimum order value for free shipping. So if there's some threshold in terms of the size of an order that you feel more comfortable offering free shipping on, that's also a very effective way to get customers to spend more with you, because a lot of people will just add more to the cart to get to that free shipping threshold. So there's a bunch of different things you can do to offer discounts on shipping that can help you compete with those larger retailers offering free shipping all the time. And I harp on this point just because it's something that we see all the time, causing huge abandonment on a lot of websites. So let's go back to those first two reasons for why customers are abandoning. We talked about the fact that these are natural human behaviors, and that even for the customers who abandon for shipping reasons, they're doing something very interesting. They're giving us a signal of intent around what they're interested in buying and what they're interested in purchasing. And even though they're not finishing the order, this is still a really important constituency of customers to understand, because they've made it all the way to the end of your conversion process without buying. But they're signaling what products they're interested in. How big is their order going to be? And we believe, and we've obviously proven pretty successfully, that if you can follow up in a targeted way, this is a group of customers that if you just give them the right offer at the right time, they're very easy to convert after they've shown that intent around abandonment. So what I want to get into next is, obviously, what we do is we help our clients identify more visitors before an abandoned cart occurs, and we help them capture that intent around what these customers are interested in. So we're capturing that intent earlier in the funnel, whereas most retailers just get it at the end when they see what customers are purchasing. And the process of re-engaging with customers who've abandoned carts on your site is called remarketing. And obviously, you're following up with this person based on a recent interaction with your website in an automated fashion. What we're going to talk about next is remarketing email specifically. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through some best practices, both in terms of capturing intent early and also some best practices around how to build these cart abandonment email campaigns so that they effectively recover sales for your business. And the first best practice I want to touch on is capturing an email address and trying to identify visitors to your website early in the process, as early as possible. And the first best practice is you've probably noticed on a lot of e-commerce sites, they've started doing these triggered pop-ups. So as soon as you hit the site, they'll hit you with this pop-up, getting you to try to opt into a newsletter or a discount on your first purchase or a discount on shipping. And doing this is really yields a twofold benefit. The first one is that, of course, you're building your opt-in lists, which is huge. But the second one is that you're identifying the visitor at the top of the funnel. So if they go on to cart-specific items, if they go on to abandon your checkout page, even if they don't get as far on checkout as entering an email address, you're able to identify them and follow up with them in a targeted way just because you knew who they were early in the process. And there's all sorts of applications out there that help you build specific business rules around when to trigger this pop-up and when not to. But this is a highly effective way to capture early stage purchase intent. And if pop-ups aren't your thing, which we hear this a lot from customers, is they're our clients, if they don't want to annoy their customers with a pop-up, we always recommend that you capture your customer's email address as early on the checkout page as possible. You would be amazed how many people start this checkout page and bail out on the first field, the second field, the third field. If you capture email address first, the likelihood that you're able to capture an email address associated with this cart goes up dramatically. And this greatly increases the number of people that you can remarket to after they've left the site. So always capture an email address early. So now that we've identified folks that are abandoning carts, we know what specific cart items they're interested in. The next question that we always get is, okay, what do you recommend in terms of how to follow up with these folks? And as a typical starter campaign, we always recommend a 3-email sequence. The first email being sent 30 minutes after the abandoned cart occurs, the second email being delivered 24 hours after, and the third being delivered anywhere from 3 to 5 days after the abandoned cart occurs. And there are 2 other key points here. There are some remarketing solutions that will send the emails in a batched fashion, meaning they'll capture all the abandoned carts that happen over a 24-hour period, and they'll send them the first email all at the same time. We recommend sending the emails in a real-time fashion. So what I mean by that is if a customer abandons at 2 p.m. Eastern, that first email gets delivered at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. And we find that delivering the emails in real time will, A, greatly increase open rates and click-through rates. But ultimately, that first email delivered at 30 minutes is critical to capturing the customers who are doing comparison shopping and may be on another site. If you're able to capture them within that 30-minute time window, the likelihood that you'll get them to come back and convert on your site goes up dramatically. So we always recommend this 3-email drip as a starting place, and then once we've gotten the campaign out there and tested it, we can optimize the timing from there. Now, in terms of the tone and the content for these remarketing emails, we always recommend that you take a customer service approach. So by that I mean, don't email your customers who've abandoned with a hard sell at first. Email them asking, was there a problem? Is there anything that we can do to help? Did you forget something? If you have a toll-free number or the ability to take calls from your customer service team, make that prominent. Give your customer the opportunity to either reply to the email and have it serviced by a real customer service person. So never send these emails from a no reply email address. Send them from a real customer service person who can answer their questions.
And this part
and always make your toll-free number prominent. So
if you can get them to engage with you, it's incredible for conversions. I love that this is your email that you send out, because this is exactly what we do. We're attempting to get them to engage with us. We're attempting to get them to respond. We're attempting to create that relationship and start some kind of a two-way communication cycle.
Absolutely. And we find that there's this benefit of recovered sales, of course. But then there's this ancillary benefit that when you're giving the customer, gives your second chance to create a great customer service moment with your potential customer and potentially learn a little bit about what's causing them not to convert, because our clients are always amazed by when you create this opportunity for a customer to say, yeah, actually there was a problem on checkout, how many friction points they're able to uncover, and ultimately address those friction points more proactively to reduce their abandonment rate overall. So they take the insight that they garner from these emails and they use it to improve their conversion process as it stands for other customers. So personalization. So for our clients, we're always capturing the contents of the cart. We're always capturing the value of the cart. And we find that the more personalized the email, the higher the click-through rate will be. And there's a number of reasons for that, but the primary one being is that when you send this remarketing email, you're doing so in an effort to remind the person who was browsing on your site what they had in their carts. And we can do some interesting things with sort of specialized discounts and conditional discounts depending on the value of the cart and those sorts of things. But personalizing the email with, of course, a dynamic salutation. So if the customer made it as far on the checkout form as entering their first name, you can address them by their first name. If they didn't make it that far, you can default to something generic. That's always important. And of course, injecting one or more products that they had in their cart. We find that for some merchants, and this isn't the case for all of them, but for some who have great product photography, one big dynamic image showing one item from the cart, potentially the most expensive item, can really drive click-through, whereas with other merchants, we find showing all of the cart items that were left behind drives click-through. So it's really something that it really depends on the vertical, and it's something that we have to test because it does differ on a merchant-to-merchant basis. But we always recommend as much personalization as possible. And this is a really interesting point, because this is something that this point, and the point is thinking cross-device, is something that we've really experienced more than ever in the last 6 to 8 months. And that is, we're running into a lot of cases where the first abandon may happen on a desktop at work, but the email that we send to people is being consumed on an iPad or being consumed on an iPhone. And the worst possible thing for us is that we get out of step with the customer, meaning that they may abandon on their work machine, they get a remarketing email on their iPhone, but because the original abandonment didn't take place on the iPhone, the cookie is not intact for the cart. So they click through our email and they get to the cart, and if they do so on their iPhone, it can be empty. And that's not a great experience for customers. So we always recommend, and for some cart platforms, we even provide the technology to do this, but you need to be able to regenerate the cart for clients, no matter what device they click through the remarketing email on. Because what you're trying to do is, as more and more people move to consuming content and consuming email, and they go home after work and they're sitting on the couch with their iPad and they get a remarketing email, the experience from the original abandon back to your site needs to be seamless and it needs to be responsive. And we find that when we implement this kind of tech for our clients, that conversion rate will go up dramatically if we're able to close the loop on people who are consuming our emails on mobile devices. So depending on your cart platform, this may be something that you need to do a little bit of development work for, or if it's a cart platform like Magento, we actually offer this as part of an extension, and we do so with a couple other cart platforms too. This is something that we always recommend for a new client, is that they think cross-device and almost assume that the remarketing emails will be consumed on a device that was not where the original abandoned cart occurred. And of course, with any sort of campaign that you're doing, you want to measure and optimize. And we do so in a couple of different ways. So the screenshot here at the bottom is, of course, you want to tag all of your remarketing emails with Google Analytics tracking parameters, or Core Metrics tracking parameters, or Omniture tracking parameters. Wherever your analytics package of choice is, you want to be able to measure performance in that analytics package. But unfortunately, with email, tagging only tells one part of the story, because it's only measuring click-through, and it's click-through to conversion in that session. Whereas with the analytics that we're providing on the back end, we're also giving you an extra layer, and we call it a browse conversion. So you can argue, of course, that click-through is the only thing that matters, but also you can argue that the emails can influence conversions just for people who open the email and then return to the site directly. So what we're measuring for our clients, of course, is open rate, click-through rate, conversion rate, both for the campaign as a whole, as well as if there's multiple emails in the campaign, an email-by-email breakdown of how each email in the campaign is performing, and of course, how much revenue is being recovered. And we take a top-down approach to optimization, in that we'll start by optimizing subject lines. Then we'll look into the creative of the email campaign itself. So whether it's copy, whether it's the call to action. I will note that on coupons and discounts, we actually recommend that our clients don't offer them at first, because what you want to do is build a baseline of how much these emails can recover without offering a coupon or a discount. And if down the road you want to choose to be a little bit more aggressive and offer something, and maybe the third email, we typically will be okay with that, but we always recommend that you're trying to create that customer service moment. You're trying to get people to engage with you, and you don't want to condition people to expect a coupon and abandon in a purposeful way just to get a discount. So that's kind of our take on coupons and discounts. And just as a quick case study, this is a client of ours. This is VTechKids.com. These guys are a manufacturer of electronic kids learning games. And I want to highlight one point in time, which was during the holiday season last year, from November 15th to December 31st. And these guys had a campaign built almost to a T of sort of following the best practices of what I just went through. And this campaign recovered over $63,000 in revenue during this time period, during the holiday period for these guys. The average order value was 10% higher than their typical organic order, so the campaign was recovering a more valuable customer. The campaign had an 11% click-through rate and converted almost 9% of the people that it was sent to. And that's actually a little bit surprising. That's actually a little bit on the lower side, but these guys had such a huge volume of abandoned carts during the holiday season that it was only a 9% conversion rate. And we typically see anywhere, if it's just a normal campaign during the year, anywhere from 10 to 15%. And Mike, our client there, was quoted as saying that these emails were driving 2% of overall site revenue with a recent conversion rate of 10%. I looked at that. And that these emails are, now today are creating more return than what they experienced during the 2012 holiday season. And if you're interested, I can, of course, share the link to where this case study is published. But hugely impactful during the holiday season for them. And in terms of what it takes to get integrated, these results can be a massive return on what you invest to integrate a solution like this. And I touched on this earlier when I was talking about customer service, but I want to close with what ends up being an unexpected benefit for most of our clients. And that is when you start measuring this, when you start sending these remarketing emails, when you start creating an opportunity for your clients to engage with you around what's causing them not to buy, you will start to uncover all of this amazing qualitative insight into why customers aren't converting on your site. And that in itself is gold, because you can take that insight, you can address things more proactively throughout your site, even outside of the checkout page. And ultimately, you can use that insight to increase your conversion rate overall and reduce abandonment before it even happens. And we love it when we get notes from our client that says, hey, we uncovered some checkout bug or a payment error or something that we didn't even know existed that was causing customers to bail out. But we've addressed it now and our conversion rate's gone up. We see that happen all the time. So I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this presentation. Again, if you have any questions at all, you can email me directly at mike@rejoiner.com. You can call us at our toll-free number or hit us up on Twitter at RejoinHer.
Much. I tried not to interrupt you because the presentation was just so dang good. It was awesome, really, really good.
Cool.
And I know everyone really appreciates it because it's such an important part of the e-commerce business. I was wondering if you could take a little bit of time to talk about Rejoiner and how people can check that software out if they're interested, in what your prices are and who you work with, and how you make it easy for folks to get set up, and any kind of deals you have going on, just like a little bit about your actual software.
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with retailers of all sizes.
Let's put it. Can you put it on the screen?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, we work with retailers of all sizes, ranging from customers who are doing just for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year in revenue, all the way through retailers who are in the internet. Retailer 500 doing $150 million in revenue. The solution itself is integrated into your site using a few different JavaScript tags on the front end. You integrate those into various points in your checkout funnel. And once you get those set up, that's really the only thing that you have to do to get a campaign like this going, is to get those JavaScript tags integrated into your site. And we find that what customers really value about working with us is that we're super hands-on with developing the email creative. So a client signs on with us, they get the tags in place. We actually do the design and the HTML markup and coding for the campaign. So there's very few resources that you need to implement on or take up on your side, because we know that these retailers have a million other things going on. So we want to help people get up and running as quickly as possible and give them the best chance to launch a successful campaign. So in terms of deals, we do have a free trial, but I think especially for smart marketer listeners, we'd be happy to do, typically we offer a 14-day free trial. We'd be happy to do a 30-day free trial for anyone listening who wants to give this a shot. And all they have to do is just shoot me a quick email. It's mike@rejoiner.com, and I can get you set up with everything that you need to get going and walk you through the process of getting set up.
That's a phenomenal offer, and please take him up on that, because if you're not doing cart abandonment, you're missing out on a lot of sales. So Mike@rejoiner.com, and rejoiner.com if you want to check it out. I know I will be.
Yep.
Right now we're using a custom coded solution for our Yahoo stores, and and built-in BigCommerce solution and stuff. Your platform looks to be a lot more sophisticated than what we're doing. And the cool thing about doing cart abandonment is just doing it is better than not doing it. You know what I mean? So doing it with some level of sophistication is absolutely better than doing it without sophistication. So Mike@rejoiner.com. And Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to just come and deliver value and share content. And you weren't, if I didn't bother you you weren't even going to pitch your product. So I'm happy that I got a chance to get you to mention it on here, because it is a fantastic product and people should check it out. So thanks for taking the time.
Cool.
And I will connect with you and let you know once this is posted. And if you want to get in touch with Mike, it's Mike@rejoiner.com.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, Ezra.
Thanks, man. Talk to you later.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Okay, cool. So we're done with the